Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that multiple wars are happening across the planet at the same time. From Eastern Europe to the Middle East and parts of Africa, millions of people today are living in the middle of active conflicts. Cities are destroyed, borders are disputed, and powerful nations are taking sides. But where exactly are these wars happening in 2026, and why did they start? Let's take a closer look. Introduction. War has existed throughout human history, but what makes today's world different is how deeply connected these conflicts have become. A battle in one region can affect oil prices across the world. A single missile launched in one country can reshape international politics overnight. Right now, several major conflicts are shaping the global landscape. Some involve powerful nations, others are regional wars that continue to bring suffering to millions of civilians. Let's explore some of the most important conflicts happening today. Russia-Ukraine War. The war between Russia and Ukraine began in February 2022 when Russian forces launched a large-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russia argued that the move was necessary to protect its security interests and to prevent Ukraine from joining Western alliances like NATO. Ukraine, however, saw the invasion as a clear violation of its sovereignty and began fighting back. With military and financial support from Western countries, the conflict quickly became the largest war in Europe since World War II. Major cities such as Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Mariupol became symbols of resistance and destruction. Millions of people fled their homes, creating one of the biggest refugee crises in modern Europe. Even today, in 2026, the war continues along the eastern front lines. Israel-Hamas War. Another major conflict is unfolding in the Middle East. This war involves Israel and the militant group Hamas in the densely populated Gaza Strip. The conflict escalated dramatically in October 2023 when Hamas launched a deadly surprise attack inside Israel. In response, Israel began a massive military campaign in Gaza. But this conflict did not begin in 2023. Its roots stretch back decades with deep disputes over land, identity, and political control. Cities like Gaza City have experienced widespread destruction, while civilians on both sides continue to live with fear and uncertainty. The war has also raised concerns that the conflict could spread across the wider Middle East. Sudan Civil War. In Africa, another devastating war is taking place in the country of Sudan. In 2023, fighting erupted between Sudan's National Army and a powerful paramilitary group known as the Rapid Support Forces. What began as a struggle for political power quickly became a full-scale civil war. The capital city of Khartoum became a battlefield with heavy fighting in the streets. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes, and Sudan now faces one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Myanmar civil conflict. Another ongoing war is happening in Myanmar. In 2021, the military seized power in a coup, removing the elected government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. What followed were massive protests across the country, but over time, many of these protests turned into armed resistance. Pro-democracy groups and ethnic militias began fighting the military government. Today, large parts of Myanmar remain unstable, with villages destroyed and civilians caught in the conflict. Yemen War. Finally, the long-running war in Yemen continues to affect millions. The conflict began in 2014 when the Houthi movement captured large areas of the country, including the capital city, Sana'a. Soon after, a military coalition led by Saudi Arabia intervened. Over the years, the war has become a complex regional conflict, and the humanitarian consequences have been devastating. Millions of people in Yemen face hunger, disease, and displacement. global impact. These wars are not isolated events. They influence the entire world. Wars disrupt global trade. They drive up energy prices, and they create political tension between powerful nations. But the greatest cost is always paid by ordinary people. Families lose their homes, communities are destroyed, and entire generations grow up surrounded by war. Conclusion. Looking at the world today, it becomes clear that modern conflicts are deeply connected. A war in Europe can affect energy supplies in Asia. A conflict in the Middle East can reshape global politics overnight. History tells us that wars eventually end, but their consequences can last for decades. The real question for our generation is not only where wars are happening today, but also how humanity can prevent the wars of tomorrow. Because the future of peace depends on the choices the world makes today.